Welcome to Really Cool Stuff for the Home podcast, sponsored by Homeworks. And now with today's show on all the ways to improve your home is your host, Denise Sanchez.
Hi, this is Denise from Homeworks, Really Cool Stuff for the Home. And on this podcast, I wanted to introduce you to one of my favorite lines of appliances. It's a very, very old line of appliances. They've been around since 1890. American made, we love that. And they only did professional and commercial equipment until 2002, where they debuted into the residential market, and the rest is history. My co-host is Nick Lamneck from BlueStar, and he started off with BlueStar just delivering trucks. And Nick, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah. First off, it's great to virtually meet you, but it's been a pleasure working with you so far. But yeah, I got my start. I actually started working at a bar across the street from the factory. I played rugby for the Reading rugby team, and BlueStar is made in Reading, Pennsylvania. So the president of the company at that time owned that bar, and he asked me to come over and start working for him. So I started out unloading our trucks, stocking our assembly line. I kept count of every nut and every bolt that goes into the product.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah. But it was a great way to learn. So I kind of slaved away, did that for a very long time. And then I started running our assembly line. I ran our factory. Then I ran our service department for about 2 years. And they asked me to clean up how I look. And
oh, my goodness.
Sales. And now with this quarantine, I'm going back to the way I used to look, because I figured I won't be able to do it for a long time. But it was a great way to kind of come up, because there's a lot of sales reps out there that kind of regurgitate information that's in the manual. I've actually built these things. I've serviced them. I've built them on the assembly line. I fixed them. I used to go in early every day and stock the assembly line with every part they needed. So it was a great way to learn. And I think I kind of got in when I started. We made an RMB and an RCS.
Right, much more limited. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. The RCS had plastic knobs. It didn't even have a convection fan in it.
Really? Before my time even, because I think I started around 2002, 2003.
Okay, yeah. March will be my 14th anniversary. But yeah, it's I always say I got on a good horse early, because when I started, we not many people heard of us. It was a word of mouth line. We didn't really have our marketing department was Matt, who you know, who just kind of ran a Facebook page. We didn't really have much budget behind it, and it was just a word of mouth company that chefs knew about. We made about 10 ranges a day back in that day. And now since 2008, we're doing 10 times the business.
Oh, my goodness, yes. And in fact, how I was introduced to this product was through chefs. They would walk in my store about 2002, 2003, and they wanted a BlueStar for their personal home. So that's how I became, aware of them. Before that, I had never heard of them. And they tell me all the different things about why, you want a BlueStar. So I started looking into it more and more. Did a couple sales and had good feedback, and the rest is history there as well. But let's talk about why they would want this range over another range that they call professional ranges. They look like pro ranges, but they're so much different than a BlueStar pro range.
The main difference is the open burners on the top. A lot of range that are in the pro range category will mostly have sealed burners. There's not many other brands that have the open burner. If they do, I'd like to think that we are doing a little better in terms of getting ourselves out there. But the big difference is the open burner. As you've seen in my videos that I've done before, it delivers the heat evenly across the cooking surface, straight up to where you're cooking. Whereas a sealed burner, it's just it's more common, but it pushes the heat out. We do what's called the flour test. You put a pan on top of the burner. You evenly distribute flour across that pan, and the flour will brown where the heat is getting delivered. So on a sealed burner, no matter what shape, if it's a star or a circle, if it's got one ring, two rings, it's pushing the heat. The ports are all faced out, east to west. So all that flour will brown on the outside and slowly come in. If you're cooking an egg, the yolk is the last thing to cook. Whereas on the open burner, everything is pushed evenly across and up towards what you're cooking. So you're not wasting any heat by pushing it out in your kitchen. And you're completely even cooking. On that flour test, all the flour browns the exact same time. So that's really why chefs really prefer that open burner. Sealed burners kind of went by because it's a lot easier to mass produce them. The open burner takes a lot of fine tuning on our assembly line where you're doing the air gas mix. So a lot of people, Wolf made a great open burner. Viking made a great open burner.
They quit doing it.
Yeah, but they went to sealed burners because mass production.
Right.
Easier just you put the igniter on, send it down the line.
Yeah.
Whereas the open burner, you have to do the air shutter adjustment. You have to adjust the igniter so it's lighting in 5 clicks. So each burner takes about 15, 20 minutes of fine tuning on our assembly line. So when you're getting towards a 48 or a 60, that's a good hour and a half, 2 hours of fine tuning. But that's our story, that we want to deliver that open burner. We want to deliver that restaurant performance. So that's why we stick with open burners. We do have a sealed burner for those customers that don't really need the restaurant performance. They're just your day-to-day cooks. And we make a very good sealed burner unit at a really good budget price with all the custom options. But it's a different niche of customer.
Right. And it's also a customer that just doesn't understand or doesn't want to learn about an open burner. They're just afraid of it. That's not what they're used to. Another thing I like about the commercial range by BlueStar is that the top is all cast iron on the open burner. So it's much more durable, easier to clean, and over the years, it actually looks prettier than the day that you first get it. Kind of like grandma's old cast iron pan, over the years that it gets that patina, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the one thing I always tell too, as I talked about the direction of the heat, if you have a spillover, where's it spilling? Next to your pot, next to your pan, onto that cooking surface. And then on a sealed burner, where's that heat going? Next to the burner. So it's kind of cooking that onto that surface. With the open burner, all the heat's going up. So if you have a spillover, it's not cooking it onto the surface. When you're done, you just wipe it, and it wipes right up.
And Nick, I have to confess, I have stolen something from you.
Good.
I love the demo that you do. And I don't know whether you can kind of turn around and show it, but where you literally cup your hands around the burner to demonstrate how it doesn't flare out to the sides, the heat. All the energy goes up towards that pan. And when you're looking at a 22,000 or 25,000 BTU burner, that's very impressive.
And it's funny because I'll have to admit I stole that from somebody.
You did? It's very effective.
I have to give credit to Paul Mertens at Wilkinson Supply in Raleigh, North Carolina. Showed me that trick.
It's very effective.
I've used it all the time, and I try to give him credit for this too. But if I can, let's see. I'll see. Should I move this towards it or?
Yeah, anything you want to do.
I'll turn on the burner.
Yeah, the showcase it.
22,000 BTUs on the burner. So you got quite amount of power going up there. I have it heating up, but you can literally take your hands and put them right there.
That's impressive.
And talk to your customer. It's really showing that the heat is going towards what you're cooking. It's not going out in your kitchen. So I can sit here all day and talk to you like this.
Yeah, no wasted energy, all going towards that pan.
Exactly.
You don't have just the ring of fire. You've got all those orifices as well. You can take a piece of string, and I think on a regular round one, you've got like 6 inches of string. And if you take the string and loop it around all the different orifices, you've got like a foot. I mean, that's incredible too. That makes a big difference. And another thing, BTU. So just in case we're talking about BTU for our listeners, what is a BTU? We relate that to how effective or how much performance a burner will give you. And it's literally a British thermal unit is what it means. And it's a form of measurement that measures every BTU refers to the amount of energy that's required to increase the temperature of a pound of water by 1 degree. And it's supposed to be done, within an hour's time. So that's what a BTU is, just in case someone out there doesn't understand what that is.
Yes.
Another thing that is interesting, too, that I think, when you have LP, this is, to me, a big deal in my area because we have, the city proper, and then we have so many people in the outlying areas of our city where more and more of our citizens live, and they have to be liquid propane. The city isn't delivering the fuel source. So any range can be converted either by the manufacturer or in the field locally from natural gas to liquid propane. But with BlueStar, there's one better. Tell them about that, how it's built to LP.
Well, we make them to order. So most ranges come automatically with a conversion kit. Again, it's a mass production thing. Just crank out natural gas ranges, put a kit with it, and send it out. Within that instance, you lose power. You lose some performance, you lose some power.
About 10 to 20%, from what I understand, depends on the manufacturer. That's a lot of BTU loss.
Yeah. And if you're buying it for performance, that's a big factor. We make ours to order for gas type as well. We dial in all of our orifices so they're the exact size that you need to get the same BTUs. And our regulator is set for natural LP as well. So actually, if you order an LP BlueStar, you're not losing any power.
That's amazing.
You're not losing any performance out of it. The 25,000 BTU burner is still delivering 25,000 BTUs on an LP. So we haven't lost any power performance on that one at all.
And even for the customers that live, like I have customers that also have ranches that may be in the mountains in Colorado, in high elevations as well. Speak to that. That they can. Well,
and we can dial in towards elevations. If you're in elevations over 2,000 feet, you let us know, and we can dial in the orifices for you, so it performs perfectly. Also, another thing to note in houses that are set away, if you lose power, you can still use all of our burners if power goes off. The top burners, the ovens, no. But the top burners, you can still light with a barbecue lighter, and you're still in business. If you lose power, you can still cook for your family.
And that's been an interesting question of late that I get from a lot of customers, concerned about the way things are going right now. Can I light my cooktop without if there's a problem, with no electricity?
Yeah. And that's another thing I always push too is it keeps our service rate pretty low. We stay away from electronics as much as possible. If you look at this, there's no motherboard, there's no display, there's nothing that's going to fry out over time. Our theory is high heat and electronics don't always mix so well. So our main products, our bread and butter, are just these basic things where you just turn a knob and a valve puts gas to a burner. There's not much that can go wrong. And if it does go wrong, it's an easy fix. There's an igniter with one screw that pops it right on.
And that's a metal knob, too. A metal knob, not a plastic knob. Very, very well made.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it's a heavy-duty metal knob. Yeah.
So... also, too, when we look at doing these tops, we have all different sizes as well. You have a drop-in cooktop, right? A 30 and a 36-inch drop-in. That's also an open burner. And then we have range tops and ranges from 24 inches all the way up to 60. And right.
Yeah, so... There's customers that if you're in a small apartment, I know our New York reps does a lot of stuff at 24-inch ranges, 24-inch range tops where you're crammed in there. And then if you have the large open kitchens where you have a customer that can do a 60, I dealt with Shaquille O'Neal. He did a 60-inch range and two 36-inch gas wall ovens. It was obviously for him. Yeah. So he had to go that side.
I'm surprised he didn't do two 60-inch ranges. Yeah. Amazing.
But also his space. Also his space, so we have French doors. We have a freestanding range with French doors, our wall ovens. So if you're in a more confined kitchen, if this island was butted up a little closer to this and this was a range, we can do French doors. So you're not pushed back into your wall or your island. So we have a lot of options there for whatever space limitations you might have.
One of the local restaurant chains that offer, commercial equipment, they will send a lot of times customers into our showroom, customers that have gone into their showroom to look for commercial ranges. And people don't realize that you cannot put a true commercial range into a residential home. If you do, and something happens, and say your house burns down, your insurance company will not pay for it because it's not designed or certified for residential use. So everyone's looking for that heavy-duty commercial, pro cooking. I want to do wok cooking, but I want to get the same result as if I'm in a Chinese restaurant. And you can get it with BlueStar. Show them how you would do take the grate off for a wok.
Well, cool, perfect. And for wok cooking, a lot of ranges come with what's called a wok ring.
Right.
And it basically is a ring, a cradle that you put on top of your grate that lifts the wok up and you cradle it on. Kind of defeats the purpose of wok cooking. If for someone that's truly doing authentic wok cooking, they want searing heat right away. So what we have for our burner setup, I'll carry it over. Instead of a wok ring, you just remove the grate. This is any burner can do this, and you drop your wok right on. So you get searing heat right away, and even searing heat on the bottom, the sides. It's all ready to go. I actually I was doing a cooking demo, and I was doing wok cooking, and I got too into talking. A customer asked me a question. I took about 2 minutes to answer it, and I turned the burner on and had the wok on, and I answered the question. I was like, all right, let's get to cooking, and I put the cooking oil on, and it burst into a fireball in the wok. And I had to run out of the dealer, just throw the wok out.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
But it took 2 minutes to do that because it was such high heat, and so quickly it got so hot. So, again, I learned a lot by making mistakes, and that was one of them. Is always put the cooking oil in right after I turned it on. Again, I just took 2 minutes to answer the question that happened. Yeah. But again, like you were saying, with commercial cooking equipment, we made Garland commercial ranges for decades.
Right.
But basically what the BlueStar line is, we made Garland commercial cooking equipment for decades. And before that, we made Prizer stoves, which are wooden coal-burning stoves. But Garland is known as one of the top commercial brands that you can get. And we basically took all the power and performance of the Garland, and we got it UL approved for residential use, and that's exactly what the BlueStar line is. And if you look at the Garlands, they look like tanks. So basically what we did, we streamlined the look, but kept all the power and performance, and that's exactly what BlueStar is. So for people that come from that come into your store saying that a chef sent me here looking for a commercial product, this is as close as you're going to get that's residentially approved, because we made the best commercial appliances in the industry for decades.
In even their range, the ovens and the ranges and in the wall ovens, they will accommodate a commercial size baking tray, which is very impressive. That's huge. And in the smaller ovens, on the 48-inch, it's probably the largest. No, it is. It's the largest capacity side oven, which is a half-size baking sheet. And you can't even buy those in a regular retail. You have to go to a commercial restaurant supply house in order to get them. They're like $12. But you can do all your Christmas cookies in one fell swoop, because of the large capacity of the ovens. That's another thing that they brought as well. And another thing, too.
Yeah. And one of the main...
Go ahead.
Yep, you go.
No, you go.
One of the main things, when people talk about capacity is they'll usually give you width times height times depth and give you that number. And that's not usable capacity. We always talk about our usable capacity. That takes into account things that will impede on the area there. So a door with extra insulation, a convection fan that comes in, and broilers that drop down, those all impede on usable capacity. So we always like that. We made sure we engineered all of our cavities to have top maximum usable capacity with our wall ovens, our ranges, our refrigerators. We made sure that was always a key selling point. For example, our 30-inch range has 4.5 cubic feet if you do the width times height times depth. Our usable capacity is 4.1. One of our top competitors, their 30-inch range has 4.4. They market 4.4 cubic feet. Their usable capacity is 2.9.
That's huge
difference.
So
it's a very deceptive number. That's why nobody markets that. We market the usable capacity because that's what you can actually use, and that's why all of our displays have those full-size sheet pans, and you could walk around your entire showroom and try to jam them in everything, and they're not going to fit. So that's one of our big selling points.
And another thing about them being American made, I understand they also use American stainless steel. Is that correct? And it's a heavier gauge.
Correct.
They actually weigh more than the typical luxury appliance in kind of the same category.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I started out as our shipping and receiving and inventory man. When our old factory didn't have a loading dock, I had to, with a tow motor, put a range up on a truck and then push it across.
My goodness.
So know how I used to be in much better shape, but I know how heavy they are.
Yeah,
extremely heavy. Our steel is 16 gauge, 304 grade stainless steel, and we primarily source American. So that's as all this is going. A lot of brands are kind of having some speed bumps sourcing their raw materials. We're kind of coming along a lot smoother,
right?
A lot
because
more
of
smoothly,
that,
as you see.
Yeah, and I know that in talking with some of the owners in the past, they even tried to get the veterans to come to work there. I mean, they're a very, very strong, American company focused on American, products and American materials. That has always meant a lot to BlueStar. And
it's very deceptive. You see a Made in America sticker, there's always a small print that says engineered and assembled in America.
Yeah.
The parts come from everywhere else around the globe and they're put together. But I know when I was working there and I was our shipping and receiving manager, our primary steel vendor was Patriot Metals out of Easton, Pennsylvania. Ryerson Steel out of Greensboro, North Carolina was our secondary steel vendor. Our cast iron comes from Vermont Castings. So we made sure to source everything within that to kind of keep that story. So like I said, that Made in America stickers can be deceptive as well. So we want to make sure it's as true to Made in America as possible. Our tagline was always handcrafted with American raw materials.
Right. That's nice these days. It really is. I mean, I have some great products from around the world, Germany and Italy and all, and they're great products. But it's a satisfaction to be able to have something that you can really love and have a passion for, and also be American made. That's a nice feature. Yeah. And they're celebrating 140 years. And they're offering some special promotions right now, but that's a big achievement. An American company, a manufacturing company, 140 years. I bet y'all are really celebrating up there about that.
At the factory, I guess, yeah. But one of the big things that kept us rolling through is our powder coating operation.
Yeah, right.
As we have over 1,000 color options. Because we do all of our painting in-house. So even in lean years, during Depression eras, our powder coating operation actually kept us through. So we can say we're the longest continuously running appliance factory in America. And at 140 years, it's quite impressive,
and only getting better. And huge difference in offerings that they offer now. In fact, we have the BlueStar Chef Event Center for the San Antonio area. And before COVID, we would have chefs come in a couple of times a month, and we would have demonstrations on the results. Like wok cooking was very popular. Broiling steaks with that salamander broiler, very popular. Melting chocolate in a pan without a double boiler and having it sit there for hours. And we would drop in chocolate chips at the beginning of the chef event, and we would show the people. See, you can still see the chips, and put a little spoon in it, and it would kind of dissolve. But all day long, in that simmer burner, it's a specialty burner. It's 130 degrees. That's about like our hot water heaters. So for like sauces, chocolates, you want to have something sitting there simmering for long periods of time, that is a perfect burner.
Yeah.
So it's not just the high highs that are important. We talked about this. We were talking about this through email, that people think highs are just, that's where it's at. That is very important for boiling water, searing, specialty cooking like your wok cooking. But when you're going to be doing other specialty cooking like sauces and things, you need low. All the burners go down low to a beautiful simmer. But that one specialty back burner, that is super nice.
Yeah, and you can adjust the grates, so you can do different turns of the center grate when the grate lifts up to different levels, so you can actually lift it away from the burner even more if you want really, really delicate simmers. Right. But also, it's important to know it's a constant simmer, where a lot of people try to achieve that low temperature will do on, and the burner goes on and off and on and off because they can't keep that low heat. Yeah. This is a constant simmer where it's continuously even low heat.
And it's a numbers game. They take that on off. It's, first of all, very aggravating to some customers, especially people that like to use a low simmer a lot. They tend to do the specialty cooking, and they'll say, it drives me crazy that on, off, clicking on, off. And what is it doing? I said, well, it's making numbers in games is what it's doing. doing. But it's burning or scorching. They can't do a cream sauce. It's supposed to be, they said it's real low. Well, it is and it isn't. Also, a sealed burner is constantly reaching up for oxygen. So you get that flare up that you don't get with an open burner. And I had an experience this was in a competitor's training many years ago, talking like 20 years ago, and where they did offer an open burner. My job for this big national dealer meeting was I was to fry a catfish, a big bunch of catfish. So I was frying the catfish, and about half an hour into it, I'm sitting here turning it up, turning it down, turning it up, turning it down. It was getting too hot, burning, and then not hot enough. A chef walks by me, and he says, casually, "Hey, why don't you put that on the open burner? That's going to work out better for you." So I take my big pan, with hot grease and everything, and move it over there gingerly to this open burner. And you know what? That drove it home to me, because now I could set it and it wasn't reaching up, making it too hot. It was finitely perfect, and I got a really good, frying out of it. No more worrying about it being too low or too high. So that, even though mentally I understood about open burners and sealed burners, once I did it myself and saw what a huge difference it was on a lower setting, that was huge for me. That was the game changer.
Yeah. Definitely. You definitely want the range, the complete range. So.
Well, it was really, really great talking to you. And we're going to be doing more of these, you and I together, because there's so many things that BlueStar has to offer. And it's not just promoting your company, but also we're educating a consumer about the differences in ranges and understanding about firepower. I think that after this segment, people can understand more when they go into any store or look at making a decision on buying a range. What is it that I want? And not be as confused at the open burner, sealed burner. What is the BTU? And what does it do for me? I think that that's important. And I wanted to make these podcasts, a little bit about that as well, so that when people come into our store, they're educated, and it makes my job easier, and also they get what they really want and they can understand. There's nothing more confusing for a customer to come in and they're just blindsided by all these different, BTUs and sealed burners, open burners, what size. It's very, very confusing. Very confusing.
Definitely.
But we've done some email back and forth, but we've never have spoken together. So this was really nice, and I hope to do more of it. So will you come back next week and we can talk about some other things? And we got refrigeration, we got the wall ovens, your custom hoods. I mean, I can go on and on about the things that y'all offer. It's a very important category for my company. We love BlueStar. We also, not only do we sell it and know it, but we service them. We're certified service, warranty, and installation. And my guys tell me that the BlueStar, they'll go, it's just like a race car. You can adjust every single burner, the ovens, everything, to exactly what you want. And the customer doesn't want it just like this. They want it a little bit different. We can do that. That's another neat thing. And there are videos out there where if you are a do-it-yourselfer, you can do it yourself. That's how easy these things are to work on. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, definitely. And that's huge as a dealer to have your own installation and service. My dealers are most successful have that offering. Right. And when I'm talking to customers, it's always safe. I'm always confident setting them to dealers like you. Yes. Because there is fine tuning that goes into it. Yeah. That if they want that simmer burner a little lower, if they want things, there's little air shutter adjustments, little things that can. And when somebody's experienced and knows what they're doing, they're going to get the best BlueStar experience. If they order from who knows where, and it gets dropped off in front of their house.
Oh my gosh, good Lord! Just to put it inside the house.
Yeah, you're guaranteeing a service call in a week.
I know. Nick, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our next visit. There's a lot to talk about in the customization of BlueStar and the other offerings. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Date next week, Thursday.
All right. Bye.
All right. Care.